Like, they're suing me for something I didn't do. It's just the most.
So there I was watching this absolute disaster unfold, and honestly, I had to shell out serious cash because of their complete mess. Jake Paul just found himself facing a Netflix lawsuit right after Anthony Joshua completely demolished him, and let me tell you, I saw this train wreck coming from miles away. I knew what they promised versus what they actually delivered, and the gap between those two things was massive. This wasn't some underground fight card that nobody cared about. This was supposed to be the event of the year.
I heard that Gervonta Davis was being very difficult to work with, and Netflix was just waiting for a reason.
Netflix was pushing this thing as their flagship heavyweight spectacle, streaming live to their entire global subscriber base, and they kept pounding home one specific message in every single piece of marketing material. This was legitimate professional boxing, not influencer theater, not some celebrity exhibition where everyone goes easy on each other, not social media beef playing out with gloves on. They positioned this as Joshua taking on Paul through Netflix, happening in a proper championship venue with official scoring, actual medical oversight, broadcast quality, production, and genuine heavyweight stakes. Every single element of the presentation was screaming authentic professional combat sports.
Yeah, we think he broke his jaw. He's fine. We met with Netflix afterwards. He took a shower. He drove himself to the hospital. A broken jaw is very common in sports, particularly in boxing or MMA. And I think the recovery time from the...
Jake strutted into that venue like he owned the entire building. His whole energy was about being different from everyone else, completely fearless, totally immune to any kind of pressure or negativity. That persona was everything they were selling to viewers. That attitude was what Netflix invested their money in and promoted across their platform. But then reality showed up and crashed straight through all that marketing nonsense. The guy waiting for him in that ring wasn't some retired MMA fighter looking to cash a check, wasn't a celebrity athlete trying boxing for fun, wasn't some legend from decades ago trading on old glory. This was Anthony Joshua, a legitimate two-time unified heavyweight champion with Olympic gold and over 10 years of elite-level competition programmed into his instincts and reactions. Joshua had dedicated actual years to getting hit by real heavyweights, while Jake built his reputation through social media buzz and hand-picked matchups.
Anthony Joshua didn't throw a single straight right hand for 6 rounds.
When you actually analyzed what each guy brought to this fight, the experience difference was completely ridiculous. Joshua had Olympic credentials from representing his nation at the highest level, multiple championship belts across various sanctioning bodies, plus championship rounds against elite division fighters. Most importantly, he had meaningful losses that taught him valuable lessons about the sport. Jake had flashy highlight packages that worked great in quick social media clips, promotional videos, cut for maximum hype, and a track record of strategically chosen opponents designed to build his resume without excessive danger. The physical advantages were even more obvious when they faced off. Reach, height, natural strength, timing refined through thousands of training rounds, plus composure under genuine pressure. Joshua dominated every category. He didn't need constant talking or theatrics just to belong in the conversation. Jake required non-stop noise and attitude just to seem relevant.
And not only did you not get knocked out, you dropped and said, wow.
I was like, wow, that was nice. I was on the ground. I was like, that was a good shot.
Did he surprise you with his power?
To be honest, no. But, I mean, he surprised my jaw.
This marked the very first time Jake Paul faced an active elite-level boxer in his prime, who had zero incentive to go easy and every reason to prove his critics wrong for questioning why he'd even accept this matchup. There was no protective booking to save face if things went sideways, no backup narrative if the performance went badly, just raw exposure and genuine risk. The second that opening bell sounded, I could read it in his posture and movement patterns. This wasn't about victory anymore. Not about control or making statements. This was purely about lasting without getting embarrassed too quickly or too obviously. Everyone watching understood the defeat itself wouldn't just be another mark on his record. It was going to be the live public destruction of Jake Paul's entire business approach, streamed to millions. The fantasy that attitude and self-promotion could substitute for genuine experience and technique finally collapsed in front of a worldwide audience that couldn't turn away.
Looks like Jake Paul's trying to bait him into something, but he's the one that's hit the canvas twice in this round. Incredible.
Right from those opening moments of round one, it became crystal clear what Jake's actual strategy had transformed into. Lateral movement, avoid direct confrontations, tie up and hold whenever Joshua closed distance, create space, and repeat this pattern endlessly. There was no ring control being established, no dominance being displayed, no forcing his game plan on his opponent, just defensive movement designed purely to survive. Here's what most people completely missed about how this fight developed. Joshua allowed him to do exactly that, and casual observers don't grasp this concept. Joshua intentionally controlled the tempo, measured his distances with surgical precision, studied Jake's defensive habits, and let exhaustion accumulate before his power needed to end things. Jake moved around that canvas like someone desperately trying to stay afloat in water over his head, barely keeping himself above the surface. Every clinch meant momentary safety and recovery time. Every separation meant borrowed seconds before the inevitable conclusion. Joshua never rushed anything, because rushing wasn't necessary. He waited with the calm patience that comes from championship-level experience, and that's what genuine elite competition teaches you. When you recognize your opponent is burning energy just to coexist in there with you, you let him drain everything before you get serious about finishing.
I love this shit, and I'm gonna come back and get a world championship belt at some point.
Are you surprised you went 6 rounds with the former two-time unified heavyweight champion?
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I just got tired, to be honest. Like, it was just so much.
Round 5 arrived, and that's when the total breakdown truly started accelerating. 2 separate knockdowns within the same round, not from wild scrambles where luck plays a factor, not from surprise shots, but from pure damage accumulation and complete defensive collapse. Balance disappearing, structural defense, falling apart legs, becoming heavy and uncooperative breathing, turning labored and desperate. That round eliminated every illusion about this being remotely competitive. Jake wasn't getting caught by timing or hurt by unexpected combinations. He was systematically, completely overpowered in every element that actually matters. When round 6 began, the conclusion was obvious to everyone watching. One precise, perfectly placed power punch connected no dramatic build-up, no questions about the referee's decision, just basic physics and force transfer. The official stepped in and stopped it because nothing remained to be proven and zero justification existed to continue. Jake's body had already surrendered before any count needed to be completed.
I don't like it. Even Anthony Joshua had some class and, apologized to me.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He worked his way through the crowd and came up to me and said, Mom, just know it's just boxing.
That's just how fighting works sometimes. That's just the nature of combat sports. These things happen in competition. The response afterward, on social platforms and sports media, told the complete story about what everyone had just seen. Some people were surprised he actually made it through 6 complete rounds against someone with Joshua's credentials, but others were equally surprised by how totally defenseless he appeared. Once serious pressure arrived, an escape became impossible. This wasn't courage or determination being showcased. This was methodical, systematic destruction, captured from every possible camera angle with absolutely no place to hide from what was happening. All that aggressive talk and social media posturing didn't survive very long after the final bell. Within hours of leaving that venue, Jake was being taken to medical facilities for evaluation. No celebration speeches being written, no flexing for photographers, no social posts about moral victories, just hospital lighting and medical professionals doing their work and conducting examinations. The medical findings that emerged were harshly direct and more severe than early reports indicated. Initially, it was described as jaw damage. Then, imaging showed something much worse, a complete double fracture. Not rumors being spread by critics, not guesswork from internet commentators, but verified through actual medical scans and professional medical assessment. Recovery timelines landed in the 4 to 6 week minimum range, assuming zero complications during the healing process. That's not bruising. That looks rough for a couple days. That's not swelling. That reduces. That's actual structural bone damage. And people need to grasp what this really means for someone who fights. A fractured jaw impacts literally everything in normal daily existence. Consuming solid food becomes genuinely problematic, requiring liquid nutrition. Speaking normally becomes restricted and uncomfortable. Even breathing demands careful attention and adjustment. All training ceases completely and immediately. No sparring, no mitt work, no conditioning involving head movement. This isn't cosmetic damage you can cover with concealer, this is structural skull damage, and it's the type of injury that fundamentally alters how you approach combat sports. If you ever return at all, but Jake, being exactly who he is, immediately attempted to transform it into content material, social media posts, began surfacing jokes about the medical situation, attitude-filled captions about toughness converting a hospital stay into promotional material, and engagement generation. Even his profile pictures played in making light of serious medical trauma. No genuine accountability for the defeat, no honest introspection about what failed or what lessons emerged, just brand management and content production and persona maintenance. And that's where this whole situation became truly painful to witness. He lost the fight conclusively, then tried converting medical trauma into marketing content, and everyone watching recognized exactly what he was attempting. The contrast was absolutely devastating. When you examine the complete picture here, was someone claiming fearlessness and invincibility, while simultaneously documenting the physical results of facing someone who genuinely belonged at that competition level. I wasn't seeing a fighter learning and evolving from setbacks, I was seeing someone realizing, in real time, that confidence and social media influence don't heal bone damage, and that cameras and smartmaking don't soften the impact of legitimate punches from legitimate fighters. Then the shocking news broke about the canceled super fight that was scheduled next. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis had been officially confirmed for November 14th in Miami, and this wasn't just discussion. Potential negotiation tickets were already purchased by fans. Marketing campaigns were actively running across multiple channels. Advertising space had been bought and reserved by major sponsors. Were locked into binding agreements. Production teams had been hired and scheduled. The facility had been prepared and booked, and Netflix had invested genuinely serious money into this event before any promotional work had even been filmed. The financial scope of what was being constructed was legitimately enormous. Internal financial estimates from sources connected to the production reportedly reached $120 million in total event valuation, including projected subscription growth, advertising income, sponsorship contracts, and long-term strategic positioning for Netflix. In combat sports, this wasn't casual speculation or a minor side experiment. They were exploring this was major investment, complete infrastructure, supporting it, production expenses, staffing costs, promotional budgets, and technical systems were already funded and operational. The entire machine was actively functioning and spending money daily. Then Jake canceled everything unilaterally, without gradual exit discussions, without compromise or rescheduling attempts. Just a direct decision that destroyed everything and left everyone scrambling. And here's what makes this legally catastrophic. Netflix didn't claim confusion about contract terms or communication breakdowns between parties in their legal filing, claimed intentional breach of contract. And you must understand that distinction, not mutual agreement, where everyone consents, not citing unforeseeable circumstances that made performance impossible. Intentional breach. That specific language carries enormous weight in contract law and damage calculations. The legal action that Netflix initiated demanded $100 million in claimed damages, with the genuine legal threat being that lost profit calculations could drive that figure even higher, as discovery exposes additional financial impact. This wasn't about punishing Jake for simply reconsidering a business arrangement. This was about legal consequences and establishing precedent. Jake's reputation as a dependable attraction for major events suffered direct, measurable damage that will follow him. Streaming platforms don't forget when someone costs them this kind of money and public embarrassment. They absolutely don't. And advertisers who got burned, they definitely remember, and they communicate with each other. Netflix executives were reportedly completely enraged about the entire situation. Company leadership was publicly humiliated within the industry, taking calls from furious business partners. Their brand credibility with advertisers and sponsors sustained real damage that will impact future negotiations. This is an organization that takes pride in precision, data-driven choices and maintaining control over their content ecosystem, and suddenly they appeared completely reckless for investing so heavily in an influencer boxer who treated legally binding agreements like optional suggestions. He could disregard Jake didn't just lose a boxing match to Anthony Joshua, he destroyed a multi-billion-dollar corporation's patience and trust in one decisive action, carries consequences that will reach far beyond this individual lawsuit.